Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman are out first. We've got like 25 minutes to end this show, and man, they got this audience. It was like a cow, and they just milked this thing. This crowd chanted OTC, no YTC chants.
Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna
Is this the most blatant example of just, hey, here's a new piece of Reigns merchandise for you to buy?
Pretty much, yeah.
So Reigns explains that I got screwed at the Rumble by CM Punk, so that's why I screwed him at the Garden last week. At the Rumble, Rollins tried to kill me, so I tried to kill Rollins last week. A lot of death going on in this road to WrestleMania.
Attempted death. Attempted murder, at least. Yeah.
Yes. Did Reigns really attempt to murder Seth Rollins last week in the cage?
Didn't he try to stomp him on the
Yes.
steps?
Yeah, I guess the stomp is semi-deadly. I guess.
It could kill someone.
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
sure.
It's attempted murder. Reigns says I came a long way for this, so I'm gonna stay here for about 15 or 20 minutes. I'm gonna get my month's appearance out of the way here, and if anyone wants to confront me, I'm here in the ring. So Seth comes out in his pajamas, and Rollins warns him how dangerous CM Punk is. You should have let me finish him last week, but says it's always been about the two of us. We cannot coexist in the same place at the same time, even though they were defying this rule as we watch this live. But it's time to add another chapter to our story. And Seth started to take off his pajama top when CM Punk comes out, and he's taped up his right hand. I thought he was going to dip it in glass like Tony Storm. I was looking for a champagne bottle. And he refers to Big Chief and Grimace. Neither of you have beaten me without the other one's help. And Roman, it was every man for himself at the Royal Rumble. And don't forget, I saved your family's ass at War Games, and reminds Paul Heyman of the favor that he owed him. And then looks to Heyman and says, thanks for delivering Roman to me on a silver platter. And Roman gives this confused look to Heyman, like, was I set up? And as Reigns turns his back, Punk jumps him from behind. I thought that was like a really clever spot that they had. Like they're planting this this doubt in Roman Reigns if Paul Heyman is loyal to him or is ultimately loyal to CM Punk. I will state this: like Seth Rollins is obviously like he's a major star. I feel Punk and Reigns is just. I think I'd be so much more into this in just the two of them, because I think the first Punk Reigns match is a really big deal to be doing, and it's just the three-way fatigue that I think many people have, but it's kind of just it's a numbers game, and they want Seth in something very prominent, but it does kind of feel like I think there's a lot of value in when Reigns and Rollins have their first singles match together, and we're kind of just shoehorning all of that into this match at Mania.
Yeah. I don't mind three ways like for any show except WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania to me always feels like it should be the season finale where you get that one grudge settled. And by doing three ways, it's going to be somewhat like you're kind of watering down, the intensity of every individual feud by like doing it all. Now, like we haven't seen the full story, so like one of the I think strengths of this regime creatively has been to juggle several balls in the air at once and somehow making everything feel complete and together by the time we get to it. So they could do a great job of it. I think they've done a good job of it so far. But could it have been better if it was a singles feud between any of these participants? We'll continue to ask that towards WrestleMania. But I really do like the Paul Heyman element of it. That, at least between Punk and Reigns.
I do think the booking of this will be very strong over the next month to get here. And I think there's a lot of interesting avenues of where you can go. I think there's a lot of value in whether these guys headline or not. The idea of, like, let's even say that this ends up headlining the show. And it ends where you think like, okay, Punk's got this big main event, and this is the night that Rollins pins him. I think that's a really like creative out that you have. There's a lot of directions you can go out of this, but just getting back to the segment, it was a huge brawl. Everyone got their moment of offense in where they would pause and point to the WrestleMania sign. God bless these three that had to pull this off, because this was like the most comical
it wasn't just a Vince thing, evidently. This is like a thing now. This is now like
it went from like this like hilarious like joke to now it's like, no, this is like the thing you get to do WrestleMania season. It's a big honor to be able to do this. But I thought this looked so goofy that we had each person take their turn pointing to this sign. But yes, by the end of this, we have our three-way in place for WrestleMania. Look at this.
Ridiculous.
There you have it. So look at security. They're like, no, Roman, enough pointing. And that's how the show ended. So, I mean, the crowd, they went nuts for the big stars, and it was probably a smart idea to hold this off till the end because there was nothing stronger on this show to end off than this.
Sure. I like the added element of just, not knowing whether or not Heyman's loyalties lie with Punk and Reigns or Reigns. Watch, he's going to be loyal to Seth Rollins coming out of this. All right. But the other thing is the favor. Punk teased discussing it here. I guess was just kind of interrupted and cut off and never got to it. But are we closer to having a reveal of what this is?
I think it's kind of going to be this like ambiguous thing that is hanging on top of this, and like, what is this favor? I think you should go into WrestleMania not knowing what this favor is, with that further tease of like Heyman, like is this favor going to be paid off at WrestleMania to Punk's benefit, or just something that you linger with.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, I thought in terms of like an excellent crowd, and you had several announcements regarding WrestleMania. We have the three-way in place. We have Orton and Owens. I cannot say the wrestling was all that strong on this show, but you had an audience that more than made up for it with a great soundtrack on this 3-hour CD.
Yeah, incredible crowd. I would suggest one of the best of the year, but that also means like every one of these crowds for this Europe show has been one of the best of the year. But these shows are very enjoyable to watch strictly for that reason mainly, but also for, I think this was above average in terms of star power. You had Orton's, Jade, Punk, Rollins, Reigns had things to do on the show. The individual stories are moving along. Nothing really too unexpected from any of them this particular week. Just matches kind of being made official and stories being progressed. So worthwhile watch for the crowd, and just if you wanted to see confirmations of several plot points.
Yeah, so we have next week's shows are Glasgow on Monday, and then they do next week's SmackDown and the following week's Raw in London. There are two shows at the O2 Arena, and then they go back to the States for SmackDown in Chicago, which should probably be a red hot show as well. So we will get some very electric crowds in the lead up to WrestleMania, which is still a month away, dude. It feels like a long WrestleMania build up.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So a lot of TV still to go.